Welcome to Truth and Justice with Vivian King. I am your host, Vivian King. I have a great show for you tonight, and I want to talk about the topic of Stephanie Rice just got on parole and she needs a job. It's very difficult for a person to find a job once they've been through the criminal justice system. She is one of my pet projects. I'm very delighted to have her in the studio. I have Stephanie Rice, who's 22 years old, in the studio, and I have her baby's father, we'll call him Ricky. I don't know if I should call him boyfriends. I don't know how young people title themselves, but we have Ricky in the audience too. And when I was filming to try to get this show, I did some pre-recorded shows. Ricky was my guest. I don't know if that show has ever really run, but he was very frustrated with the criminal justice system. And now we have Stephanie out, and we're dealing with the aftermath of going to jail. Let me tell you a little bit about Stephanie. Stephanie is 22 now, and she's had a lot of trouble growing up. She didn't grow up in an ideal environment. She was eventually, because of neglect, according to CPS, she was home alone with her small siblings, her brothers and sisters, who were like 2, 6, 10. They were little kids. CPS took her out of the home, and she lived in various CPS facilities, foster homes. She ran away a lot because, as all children do, she wanted to get back to her mother. But the government did not allow her to go back to her mother. So she continued to go to CPS homes. In school, like in middle school, she's doing a lot of fighting, getting in trouble because she's frustrated. She's living in a very unstable environment. When CPS got her, she was 13. And then she goes in and out of CPS care, has a lot of fights growing up, and then eventually gets out on her own. At 18, she gets a job, she gets her own apartment, she doesn't have any children, and she's working on her own. And then she meets Ricky. And I will tell you a little bit about that situation. So she meets Ricky, and Ricky and her have a child together. And then at 18, she gets a case that she probably shouldn't have had. And there are 2 cases that haunt Stephanie. One is aggravated assault on a peace officer that she got at 18, and the second one is tampering with a government document that landed her in prison. And I want to talk about those cases because you know that my role is to educate Harris County citizens about the criminal justice system. You're welcome to call in and ask your questions or just make your comments. So let's explore these 2 cases. First, we're going to talk about the case that Stephanie got when she was 18. And that is the aggravated assault on a peace officer. Now remember, she's working, she's 18. She got kicked out of school for fighting, so she's not going to school, but she is going to try to eventually go to make that up before we get to the end of the story. Stephanie, tell us what happened when you got the aggravated assault case. I want to lead in a little bit by saying that Stephanie had a situation happen with her sister, and she went to the school as the big sister to try to clarify it and to try to be the big sister and talk to the school officials, and ended up getting a case with the Forest Brooks police officer. So tell us about that.
My sister wanted to see my car because I didn't feel like taking her to school, so...
Let's talk about that. So I want to make sure you make it clear. You're 18, and how old is your sister?
She's 17.
And so you're allowing her to use your car to go drive to high school?
Yes, ma'am.
And when she drives to high school, tell me what happens.
She go to school, and she was late making it to school, so they shutting the gate while she started trying to drive through, and they wind up knocking the side mirror off the car while she trying to come through the school.
Okay, and then what happened after that?
She went to school for that day, and when school was over, she came home with some money, and she told me that she'll pay for the mirror because the mirror got knocked off the car. And she told me how the mirror got knocked off the car, and I told her I didn't think she needed to pay for it because they shouldn't have been closing the gate. Even if she was late, they should have stopped and let her in and got her getting in trouble or whatever they were supposed to do, but I don't think they should have just shut the gate. So I went up there to talk to him, talk to the officer that did it.
And let me stop you there. So you thought that your property was damaged by the school, and it was the school's responsibility because they were playing this push and shove game with her
Yes,
with the
ma'am.
car. Instead of just opening the gate, letting her get into the school to be tardy,
Yes, ma'am.
they decided that they would shut the gate on her to knock the mirror off.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so as an 18-year-old big sister, and you're not really in the life of your mother at this time, you decide to take charge. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So when you go to the school, tell me what happens. Do you greet does someone greet you? Like, do they have police officers at this school?
They have them, but nobody greeted me.
But this is what school is this?
Forest Brook, North Forest High.
North Forest High School?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so tell me what happens. Tell me who you talk to when you get there.
Anybody, you just go up there and ask, you tell them that you want to speak to the principal. I told them I wanted to speak to the officer that, that was in charge of it that day. I didn't know his name. I just asked them, can they, the officer that be at the school early in the morning for the gates or whatever. I just asked somebody that was working there.
So it was your understanding that a police officer is the person who shut the gate on her?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So they was like, just sit down and we'll get to you or whatever. So I was sitting there for a long time, and I seen a whole bunch of other people coming to be talked to that came in after me. So I got back up and asked them, what's the problem, why it's taking so long? Because I see them coming back and forth, ignoring me or whatever. So I get up and the officer tell me, what's the problem? He asked me about what happened. So I explained to him, like, my sister said this is what happened to the car, and I'm trying to find out, who responsible for it so somebody could pay for this, because I don't think she needs to pay for it because she didn't knock the mirror off the car. And the officer knew me, so he was like, Stephanie, you better go on and all of this. I'm like, I'm not going nowhere. You could talk to me how you talking to this parent on side of me or whatever, call me Miss Rice because I'm grown now. And he was like, whatever, you need to leave my school and all this. So I'm like, okay. We wound up getting into an argument, and I walked out the doors real fast, pushed the doors open. I'm like, this some BS. And he came running behind me. So I started pressing the alarm on my car because I knew he was coming after me. I started pressing the alarm on my car, and then he came and grabbed me by my shoulder real hard, and I did like this, like, get your hands off of me. And he punched me in my face. So
Did he knock you to the ground?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, talk about what happened. He physically turned you around,
yes,
grabbed you by your arm.
He grabbed me by my shoulder and pulled me like, did you just curse on my school campus or whatever? So when he did me like this or whatever, I turned around and I hit him. When he did that, he punched me in my face. I fell to the floor. I got back up. Then a whole bunch of other officers had came or whatever. I stood up. I was hitting him. He hit me back.
Now, why were you hitting him? Did you feel like you were defending yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
Was he fighting you?
Yes, ma'am. He had my jaw bleeding.
So when you fell on the ground, your jaw was bleeding, your jaw was swollen. Could you feel the blood?
No, ma'am.
But you knew it hurt?
Yes, ma'am. I knew it was stinging. And then my jaw had got a little swollen or whatever. So I knew it was something, but I didn't know my jaw was bleeding. So all the officers wound up getting me, and at this time they put me in a police car, and then a woman officer came and talked to me, and they took me to the back of the school. They have a police department back there. They took me back there and asked me, he didn't mean to hit me. It was a reflex on me jacking away from him or whatever.
Now let me make sure I understand. So the female police officer tells you that the male officer didn't mean to hit you in the face. It was just his reflex.
And yes, ma'am.
And so she's trying to make you not file charges on him, I guess, for busting your jaw.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Because when he turned around and you tried to get him off of you, that's when he hit you in the face?
Yes, ma'am.
And so he hit you in the face, but you're back there talking to them, and continue to tell us what the police officer lady says.
Okay, she told me that it was a reflex when I jacked away from him or whatever, and his class ring is what split my jaw. He had a class ring on. She said that's what cut me. It wasn't his lick. It was him. It was his ring. So she
Did she see it happen?
No, ma'am.
So how would she know what happened? How would she know to say that?
I guess he told her.
Okay.
So they had me in a room or whatever talking to me, and they asked me, did I need an ambulance? And I said yes. So they told me if I get an ambulance that they was going to tow my car and send me to jail. But if I sign a paper saying that I'm not going to press charges on him, I can keep my car and I'm not going to go to jail. I can't come back up to the campus no more. So I signed the paper saying I'm not going to press charges on him. I'm okay. Everything fine. And his thing was to write a paper saying he wasn't going to press no charges against me. So
basically he wanted you to write out that you weren't going to press charges on him, that you didn't need an ambulance, even though you'd asked for an ambulance.
Yes, ma'am.
And that to sign it, and then he agreed that he was going to sign the same paper.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you went ahead, and why did you do that? Because you're 18 and you can't afford for your car to get towed.
And I didn't want to, I was working, so I didn't want to go to jail.
You were working, okay. And is that where you were working at Aramax?
No, ma'am, I was working at McDonald's.
At McDonald's, okay. And so what happened after you signed the paper that they gave you?
After I signed the paper, they came and asked me for emergency contact, who would they get in touch with for emergency. So I gave them my older sister's phone number, and they told me to get on the phone and call her. And I called her, and they told her to come pick up my car because I was getting arrested for assault on an officer. So,
wow. How did you feel when they did that to you?
I was mad.
Did you cry?
I started cussing them out.
You didn't cry at all?
No, ma'am.
Did you think they were going to really arrest you?
Yes,
and take you to jail? Okay, so then you wind up in jail. So you have what did you know what they were going to charge you with?
Yes, ma'am. Assault on an officer, assault on a public servant.
And that's a felony?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you feel like he hit you first?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you feel like you had a right to defend yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
The law in Texas says if a police officer wrongfully arrests you, you can defend yourself even against a police officer. I don't think it's fair that he would play that kind of trick on you. Did you, when you went to jail, did you get a court-appointed lawyer?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you tell her that what happened?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you tell her that they tricked you into signing a paper that you were okay and you really wanted to go to the ambulance?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ask her to get a copy of the booking photo that would have shown that your jaw was busted?
No, ma'am. I didn't ask her to get a copy.
You didn't know, did you?
No, ma'am.
And so, why didn't you fight that case?
Well, I told her I didn't want to. She told me that they was offering me 6 months county, and that's the best they can do. 6 months county or 4 years probation. And I didn't want to get evicted from my apartment, and I didn't want to lose my job. So I just took, she was like, those are my only options because I do have a background already. So the judge not just going to dismiss the case.
And let me just correct this too. She said she has a background already, but the background is juvenile for fighting. So she doesn't have an adult record at all. And adult records are generally what hurt somebody. So for a lawyer, a court-appointed lawyer to tell her that was not actually accurate. And the law says if you're defending yourself, that and a jury believes that, then they're supposed to find you not guilty. So it is a case that she could have fought. So now you're on probation. Did you know at 18, when you got on probation, that if you violated that probation, you were facing 2 to 10 years in prison?
Yes, ma'am.
So did you think that you wanted to continue to work and just take the easy way out?
Yes, ma'am.
If you could do it again, would you have taken the easy way out?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So when you got the case with the police officer, I have a copy of the charges in front of me. You got that case in April of 2009.
Yes,
all right? And so then let's talk about your life a little bit after that. So you're working, but apparently you moved from the apartments that you were living in, and you moved to somewhere else. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. To Haverstock Hills.
You moved to the Haverstock Hills. And the Haverstock has been an apartment complex that had a lot of media attention in 2011. There were a lot of arrests. It was zero tolerance. It's an apartment complex that has a lot of units. And is it all of it? It's all Section 8. It's all Section 8 housing. Ricky, how many units are there?
I think 700.
About 700 units are in the Haverstock apartment. So now we have 18-year-old Stephanie that applies for an apartment in the Haverstock. Now, why did you move to Haverstock?
I wound up losing my job, and I couldn't pay my rent.
And why? And so, what do you have to do to get into Haverstock?
Not just apply.
Okay.
Just apply for the apartments and see if you get in.
So you apply for it because you know it's a housing program.
Yes, ma'am.
And did you have any children at the time?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So you lose your job. You apply for Haverstock housing.
Yes, ma'am.
So you fill out an application. Did anybody help you with the application?
No, ma'am.
And so you fill out an application in 2009, and you get the apartment. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you living with someone in that apartment?
Myself.
All right. And then you're doing your conditions of probation in 2009. Did you get another job?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you get a job at Aramax?
Yes, at Aramark, yes, ma'am.
Aramark. And tell me what type of company that is.
It was like at the Reliance Stadium when they have like seasonal.
Catering service. I think it's a catering
business.
Uh-huh.
It's a catering business. Okay, so you work the games at Reliance.
Yes, ma'am.
Or any activities that's going on at Reliance.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you're working there when you apply at Aramark, I'm saying it wrong, Aramark, and then So you're doing fine. We go through 2009.
Yes, ma'am.
And then at some point you have a baby, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
What year was that?
2010.
So in 2010 you have a baby, and then in 2011 you get arrested.
Yes, ma'am.
And so tell me where you got arrested.
In Haverstock Hills.
In your apartment or someone else's?
In mine.
So
I was getting out of my car.
Leaving work or whatever?
Yes, ma'am.
And so you're getting out of your car, and then what happens?
The the officers asked me, they come up to my car because I was wondering who was these officers outside for. I thought they was for the people upstairs or something. And they come up to my car and ask me, am I Stephanie Rice? And they have a picture of me. So I'm like, you know it's me. So they tell me, well, come walk with us. Do you have your ID? I didn't have my ID on me. It was in my room. So I'm like, no, it's in my room. They was like, okay, well, let's go in the house and get it. And right when I walked in the house, they just grabbed me and just handcuffed me. Like, at first I was just walking by myself regularly, and then all of a sudden they just all handcuffed me. So I got mad. Like, I didn't think all of that was necessary. It was like 6 officers. And I didn't think that was necessary.
Where was your baby?
He was in the house with my brother. My brother was babysitting him. And then that's what made me mad too. They just did all of this in front of my baby. And, you know, I just felt like if y'all was going to handcuff me, you could have handcuffed me when I got out of my car or something. You didn't have to wait till I walk up to my door and then all of y'all just start grabbing me like this. So I got mad at that. So I asked them, because they never told me I was under arrest or nothing. I'm like, what's going on? And they was like, have you ever been arrested before? And I'm like, yes, sir. They said, well, that's what's going on. So I'm still figuring out, okay, what are y'all arresting me for? I've been arrested plenty of times for a lot of different stuff. That's still not answering my question. They was like, well, we have a warrant out for your arrest, and we've been waiting at your apartment for you, and all of this stuff, so go get your ID. And I'm telling them, okay, well, my ID is in my room. They was like, where at? So I tell them where my ID is, and they like, we can't find the ID and all of this. I'm like, well, can you let me go to my room? I have handcuffs, you know, it's not nothing I can do. So they tell my brother, go get my ID, and then they wind up escorting me out of my appointment.
Okay, and so then you wind up in jail, and what do? Do you call Ricky?
Yes, ma'am, I call my baby daddy.
Okay, Ricky, let's talk to you for a little while. So when you get the call from Stephanie, what happens? What do you do?
What did I do first? I started looking for bail bondsmen and trying to figure out the charges and what she was charged for, because I didn't understand what she was charged with either, because I was there when they took her to jail, and it was like the same thing she just said. Have you ever been arrested? Like they was playing mind games or whatever. They was trying to be funny. So they was trying to do so. When she was in jail, that's when we tried to find a bail bondsman, but she had the probation hold, was it? I think it was the probation hold, and that's when we contacted you and tried to get a lawyer on the case to kind of like figure out what was going on, and from there, it was just, I think.
And it was a very frustrating case. What Stephanie got charged with, we found out, was tampering with a government document. Now, remember, Stephanie had just gotten on probation in 2009, and she applied for this apartment also in 2009. So now they filed these charges on her February 14th of 2011, like 2 years later. And they say that she has tried to defraud and harm another, namely the government, by lying on this government housing application. And when I get a copy of the housing application at Haverstock, and I know these are one of the apartments they're trying to clean up, when she got on probation for aggravated assault with a police officer, they told her, the probation officer told her, you can what? When you apply for a job, because you're asking them, you don't know. I mean, you're 18, you're getting on probation for aggravated assault of a police officer. Just a 2-year deferred adjudication.
Yes, ma'am.
So when you're asking your probation officer what deferred adjudication means and how you report that when you apply for jobs, what did your probation officer tell you?
He told me it wasn't a conviction, so if I get in trouble and violate my probation and I get placed in TDC or anything, then it's a conviction. I tell them about it. But now it's deferred, and if I don't get in trouble, it won't be on my record, like it wouldn't show up. So
Right.
I'm thinking that it's not on my record.
So based on that conversation, you took from that you did not have to report that.
Yes, ma'am.
So on one page of the application, it asks on attendance screening, it says criminal activity. Has the applicant or members of his or her family been arrested in the past 5 years? And Stephanie puts on here no. It doesn't ask anything else. It doesn't ask, have you ever been convicted? It doesn't ask you, are you currently on probation? It just asks her, has anyone ever been arrested in the last 5 years? So why did you put no on there when you had been arrested?
My parole officer, my probation officer told me that was my only thing as an adult. So I was only, 19. That was my only arrest was the assault on the officer. So my juvenile record wouldn't matter to them. So that was my only thing. He told me no, so I circled no.
Okay. And one of the fundamental issues we had in this case was that Stephanie not going to school properly, being in the CPS system, and then kind of just thrown out on her own, trying to fend for herself to be a young adult. Her words are not the same as our words. Remember, she was being neglected, although we're not saying she doesn't have a good mother, but her mother might have had her own issues at the time, but she wasn't in the type of environment where people were sitting around the table doing homework, learning words, learning vocabulary. She's just kind of out there fending for herself. So because a probation officer said it wasn't a conviction, it wouldn't show up unless she went to prison, which is true, she says no. And she's not equipped for how to handle this. And so she has been arrested, but she's thinking this means about the conviction. So it's just a misunderstanding. She has a hearing before the court to see if she violated her probation. Her probation she's on for assault on a peace officer, and she finds out that this is the allegation. So we're just sure the judge is going to give her another chance because she's in school at Lone Star College at the time. She's working at McDonald's, and she has a small child. Stephanie, let's break away for a phone call. Caller, you're on. Please turn your volume down.
Hi. Put it down. Hi, my name is Tandra Harrell, and I was calling about my son. A lady had hired him and two other guys to move some furniture for him. And so she said she was going to get him something to drink. So she left him at the church, loading the stuff out the church, cafeteria. And when she went to get him something to drink, the police came up and said somebody said they were breaking in the building. So they took all three guys to jail for burglary of a building. She drove off. They couldn't find her. I went, found her, gave them all the information. They still have my son in jail with no bond, burglary of a building. Now they saying it's aggravated robbery. He's supposed to have been holding somebody captured with a gun or something like that. And I mean, it's just ridiculous by him moving somebody, and he's been in there like 2.5 months. All
I can tell you, ma'am, is he needs to fight the case if he didn't do it, and that's why I'm having this show, to educate people about the criminal justice system, to make sure we're involved, we know who our judges are, and not take this. What do you think about Stephanie's case?
Oh, well, I think that, I really didn't catch all of her case. I just turned to the chairman and I saw it,
yes,
and I saw the number, and so I really didn't catch all the case.
Okay, I understand. I understand, and I appreciate you calling in. Just stay in tune, listen to the rest of the show. You just need to fight that case. Don't give up on your son, okay? Because it sounds like it sounds like from what you said, he's not guilty, and obviously he should not plead guilty to a crime he didn't commit. So he needs to go. He needs to go to trial. Fight the case, ma'am.
But the lawyer, I'm getting a lawyer $4,700.
Fight the case, baby. All I can tell you is fight the case.
But what about the lady who left him down?
Well, obviously, when you go through a case, as a lawyer, if I go through a case, you have to get all the witnesses. You have to get statements from the witnesses. And obviously, when you go to trial, you have to subpoena that woman and subpoena everybody that was there. Right. Everybody has a constitutional right to compel and subpoena and make people come to court. And so whether they want to come or not. So it sounds like, if I was representing someone and they have witnesses, let everybody come to court and let's air it out on the witness stand. Good luck, ma'am.
Okay.
So anyway, where were we leaving off? Where did I leave off?
Where did we leave off? 2011?
2011. Okay, so we get to court and we go through this hearing, and I'm just sure that we can convince the judge that because of her neglected background, because she wasn't raised like everybody else, she wasn't raised in an environment where people are using terms of arrest, conviction. She never even heard conviction or arrest. She doesn't know what those really mean. And I told the judge I will personally teach her what she needs to know. I will take her as a project. I will make sure she stays working. I will make sure she finishes school. I wanted to take her on as a project, and I was very frustrated by the system too, that, well, we got you. She's in jail and we don't believe you. And we believe that she understood arrest. And let me tell you what the killer is. When the apartment manager at Haverstock testified, she said, we allow people to live here who are on probation like she is. So it wasn't a violation for her to live there and be on probation. So what's the problem with her misunderstanding what this means? It's not like she denied it and she wouldn't be evicted for it. So I thought that Stephanie didn't catch a break, and it was very frustrating. Let's take a call. Caller, you're on.
Okay. How you doing today?
I'm fine. Make sure you turn your volume down so it doesn't echo for me.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Okay, can you hear me then?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I just had a question for the young lady. She mentioned Lone Star College, and I happen to work in the financial aid department of Lone Star College.
You're not trying to come get her, are you?
Huh?
I said you're not trying to come get her for those student loans, are you?
No, the opposite.
I'm just
trying to
teasing.
help our brothers and sisters out.
I know, I'm teasing you. Tell me what you want to say.
But I just have a question for her. Did she ever check back to see her status on financial aid to see, even if she had dropped out of class or whatever, did she ever appeal or anything like that?
I'm appealing it right now.
Can you hear what she's saying?
Yeah, I can hear it. Now, my question to you is this. Have you checked on it, got emails or something like that? Because you need to keep pursuing it. And for the audience that's watching it right now, it's always good to keep checking on it, because whatever case you may face in the judicial system, as long as they see you trying to go to college, that does help you and your children and everything else.
Thank you for telling her that. She just got out of prison March 21st.
Yes, ma'am.
So she just got out, and she is trying to find a job, and she can't find one. And you said you did appeal the Lone Star. When did you do the appeal? When you got out of prison?
16th.
On the 16th,
April.
it's
April
processed.
16th.
And also, I'm at the North Harris location.
That's the one I applied for, yes, ma'am.
That's the one she applied for, and that's the one she
Well,
appealed.
my name is Clarence, and if you need any help, you can come up there and speak to me or any of my representatives. But I was watching your show, and this is for anybody. No matter if you have a case or not, you need to fill out your FAFSA, your free financial aid Pell money that the government offers you. The old days of I don't have enough money to go to school or I've been locked up, that's over with. It's 2012, and if we all want to step up, then I have to do my part and let you know this.
Clarence, we need your last name. That's all she needs to do is just ask.
Clarence Wilson.
All right, Clarence, I'm gonna make sure she does it. I'm making sure that we don't lose another one to the system, and I'm trying not to lose her. So I'm gonna make sure she goes
can
up.
pass the information on, because it's 2012. Right now, we're filling out 2012 and 13 FAFSA application, which is absolutely free at FAFSA.edu, which is FAFSA.edu. And if you got any problems with it, you can come up there, because that's exactly what I do. I help people get their stuff done.
Okay, now give me those acronyms again.
FAFSA.edu.
Thank you so much for calling in, and keep watching the show. We hope it works out well for Stephanie.
Tomorrow's my birthday. So.
Happy birthday, Clarence. Thanks for calling in. All righty. Thank you, baby. Bye-bye. All right. So the manager in Haverstock says that we have books up that say that if you're on probation, or if you've had it's only certain felonies that they won't let them live there, but hers wasn't the type of felony that she would be excluded. So, okay, so it's not the kind of felony that she would be excluded. She had a misunderstanding about the word, and you're going to still send her to violate her probation for assault on a police officer and send her to prison? So she has a small baby. She's working. She's going to school. Now, this system is failing her all the way around. They've taken her from her mother at 13. She keeps running away. She tries to get grown. She gets to be 18. They tear up her car at the school, but because she's not 40-year-old mother coming in there complaining about them tearing up the car, they disrespect her. A cop pulls her and hits her in the face, and she tries to fight him to stop him, and then she gets this case. I mean, if I went up to my daughter's high school, Lamar High School, and complained about something, they're not going to treat me that way. But, I mean, I agree that she doesn't have the best coping skills, and Stephanie will say she has an attitude. She had anger issues growing up. She grew up in a very different, possibly neglected environment, so she had some anger issues. But she was trying to be an adult and look after her sister. She was trying to work, and now we have a young lady, because she put no on an application, that if she would have put yes on, she still would have been able to live there. An insensitive judge sends her to prison. Let me take another call. Caller, you're on.
Hello?
Yes, sir, you're on. Please turn your volume down.
Okay, how's that?
Great. Ask your question. Thank you for calling.
Well, thank you, Ms. King. My name is Gerald Curry. I'm calling from Southern California.
Okay, what do you want to tell us, Mr. Curry?
I was thinking, if she's looking for a job, as a former owner-operator of fast food, actually Burger King, McDonald's, both of them, if she would probably go and look at the minority directory for any of those fast foods, McDonald's, Burger King, or whatever, and they're minority owners. The fast food is some of the only businesses or companies that you can actually come in with very little education and work your way up. Because managers can make in a privately owned, not a company store, but they can make six figures.
But will they?
But willing to get in and do that work.
Well,
I mean, I had managers that were making close to six figures, but they could do the job, and they had no real formal education. And the skills or whatever that they need to pick up, it's an ongoing learning thing in the restaurant.
Well, did you hire people that had criminal backgrounds?
Absolutely, and a lot of it depending on what kind of crime they had. But
well, Stephanie's has been kind of fighting, but she worked at McDonald's, and since she's been out of prison, she has called McDonald's, and what happened with that? Stephanie has gone back online, and she's thinking her old McDonald's might hire her back. Isn't that correct, Stephanie?
Yes, ma'am.
We're going to work on it. I'm not giving up on Stephanie. Stephanie's my project. She will have a job.
I would tell her to maybe contact some of the minority-owned stores, and she can get a minority listing, and maybe they can understand whatever she's been through and where she's going. But if she has a true desire to really work hard, that's some of the only careers that you can have, and you don't need a lot of formal education, and your background is irrelevant as long as one is willing to work hard. And like I said, managers can easily make six figures.
What do you think about that, Stephanie? What's your attitude? Are you willing to do that?
Yes, ma'am. I applied to work back at McDonald's.
It takes so long. You'd be an old lady with Crocs on before you get to make them six figures.
Well, she can still work toward it. I mean, and everybody doesn't have to make six figures. Ricky,
Go to college to get 5 or 6 years of college in.
Right. Do both.
You don't get anything. You're paying money to get it.
You're right.
Right. Well, she's gonna stick to it. You have any other words of encouragement for Stephanie?
Well, I would say that what's behind her is certainly the past, and she looks like a young lady that can keep going. I don't personally have any stores in the Houston area, but we wouldn't have a problem for a person that wants to work hard. And yeah, it takes but what is time?
Right.
Especially,
it'll take her 6 or 7 years to get a decent degree and a graduate degree to be able to make a decent salary, and she still won't make that much.
Still won't.
And she's only 22, so she has time. She has time.
I don't know about what the gentleman said that it takes time, but she's got nothing but time. She's a youngster.
This mic right here.
Yes, you're in here talking, and he can hear you. Thank you for your call.
But that's good. I want him to hear me.
Yeah.
Time. What is time? You don't get nothing instantly, so.
Right.
That's true.
Got to work towards it.
That's true. I think Stephanie's willing to do that. We do need to finish high school, though. She hadn't finished high school, but she can do that at Lone Star College and keep going. What she wants to do, at least before she went to prison, was to major in something that had to do with counseling, so she could help counsel girls that went through what she went through as an adolescent. Isn't that correct, Stephanie?
Yes.
Still work and then still do that in the evening.
She can absolutely do that, and she likes the food industry. She's worked at McDonald's. She's worked at
Aramark.
I can't ever say that right. Aramark, which is the stores, like when they have events at Reliant, concerts, the rodeo, all sporting events, like at Charles Arena. She worked those events.
And the beauty of a privately owned franchise is they can do what they want. They can promote who they want when they want it and pay them what they want. Company stores are slightly different, but, they can be done.
What do you think about that, Stephanie? You good?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for...
I told her just to do her homework a little bit. I wouldn't know exactly where to go, but there's a little homework involved, and she can find the minority-owned stores in that area and go individually and sell herself.
Okay, we'll work it out. Thank you for your call.
Well, thank you.
Bye-bye. So, so you think you might continue on that path?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that sounds good. So let's go back to her story. So we have this judge that has a bad understanding, And so she gets 2 years. She's devastated because she has this baby. How old is your baby, Stephanie?
One. He one still.
How old was he when you went in?
1.
He was only 1. I mean, she was just like, oh my God, I can't. Stephanie has lost like 20 pounds. I mean, she doesn't even look like the same girl that went to prison last year. When I picked her up today, I was like, Stephanie, what happened? I mean, she was devastated when she went to prison. It's like, Miss King, I tried. I did everything you told me to do. I went back to school. I got another job. I am going to do whatever you say. And I was crying in the court, wasn't I, Ricky? I was like, I'll be your mother, Stephanie. Please don't let her go to prison. I was so we were so upset. We was like, a misunderstanding about a word, and you're going to send this baby to prison in a system that's failed her, and I've agreed to be her surrogate mother? Man, that was so frustrating. I'm like, I can win a murder case, but I can't make this judge not believe that she didn't lie on this application to violate her probation and send her to prison. Oh, we were devastated, weren't we, Ricky?
Yeah.
So, Ricky, tell me why you were frustrated. When that happened, I mean, you weren't prepared to be a single dad. I mean, you were going to college. You weren't ready for that.
Nah, honestly, I woke up in the morning and got a phone call saying she got locked up, and I was at home with my son. So I was like, wow, Jan, what I'm gonna do? So I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. Like, at this point, I gotta prepare myself to possibly take care of my son for 2 years and figure out how I'm gonna go to school with no daycare, with no help to babysit him. And so it was a lot. It was overwhelming to me.
It was overwhelming to Ricky, because Ricky was a New Orleans evacuee, a Katrina evacuee. So he's here with this, you know, evacuating here, riding around an apartment complex, see a cute little girl, they hook up. He's not, and she's here, her family's here, her support system is here, but Ricky's isn't. So when he comes to me, it was like I was his surrogate mother, even though he has a good family. He was like, Miss King, what am I going to do? What am I going to do with Stephanie going away? So he was very devastated as a young man, but you stepped up to the plate and kept your baby for this last year.
It was hard.
Until Mama got out, didn't you?
Yeah, I kept him. It was hard, though.
It was hard. Why was it so hard, Ricky?
I went to the work source, applied for daycare. They never got back with me. I called them continuously, hello, leaving voice messages. I need, you know, a little help, daycare. Put them in daycare while I go to class and look for a job. I never got a return phone call. Got to hunt down babysitters 2 days in advance. They'd say, hey, I'm a babysit Tuesday, 10 o'clock. You call them Tuesday, 10 o'clock. They no longer answering the phone. So now my class started at 11. It's 10 o'clock. I don't have a babysitter. So here I'm stuck, and I got to just deal with it.
Did you take the baby to class?
No, I thought about it. I thought about it.
When we were in law school, people would bring kids to class.
He's so bad.
But not little kids. They would be like 4, 5, 6, where they could sit there and color.
He a busybody, so I had to deal with it on a day. Every day I couldn't make it to class, but I'm very ambitious, so I'm a push. It's nothing that's gonna stop me. It's just gonna delay me, if anything. So I just dealt with it, you know, because that's all I could do. So, but I mean, I got a little help from my family. I'm not gonna say they didn't help me, but
at some point you had to take your baby back to New Orleans with your mother, right?
Yeah, right. I took him to New Orleans a lot, to think about it. I took him 2 months, June and July, when I went to summer school. I also brought him back in December. So that was a big help, too, because they kept him for weeks at a time. Why? Because, you know, Mama knew I had my school thing going on and stuff. But it was a lot of times where I had to take that stretch and sit inside on the weekend and watch TV and do nothing. Because, you know, I wasn't used to riding around with my son in the back seat and we going here. And I'm not used to that daddy time thing. So I dealt with it.
You had to grow up. Let me take a call.
Yeah.
Caller, you're on.
Yes, Miss King, how are you today?
I'm fine. Thank you for calling.
Listen, I called your office the other day, and to let you know, I have been watching your show, and I love it. You hear me?
Thank you. Who is this?
This is Bill Connors.
Hey, Bill. Thank you for calling. Thank you for liking the show too.
I'm the young lady, Miss Stephanie. Now that was terrible what she went through. I think that is so awful, and I hate to see that because she seemed like a nice lady. She's very beautiful.
Thank you.
And I just hate that happened. When I heard that, I said, oh, God, the devil is a lie.
And the thing is, she's 22 with a felony conviction for some BS. I mean, she shouldn't have even had the first case.
Right?
And now she's gone to prison for it because she wasn't arrested, and they still would not have evicted her from this apartment complex. I mean, the lady testified that we have felons that can have housing. So, I mean, so if there's no intent to defraud them, why is she going to jail? But the problem is this. Once you're on probation in Harris County, the judge can violate her just because she lied, not because she's guilty of the other crime. So
Yeah.
once the judge violated her probation and wouldn't give her a second chance, I quit her case, didn't I? I'm like, I am not going to plead this little girl for tampering with a government document and send her to prison. I'm going to go to trial for it, but what's the point in going to trial for a case that she's not guilty of when the judge has already revoked her probation and sent her to prison on an aggravated assault with a police officer when he busted her jaw and tricked her into signing a paper that she didn't do it. Isn't that cold?
I told her fight.
That's cold-blooded.
That's cold-blooded.
Okay,
It's cold-blooded with people.
Ooh, see, but see, this is a young lady that's trying to do a good thing.
Yes,
you see,
sir.
and she got that baby. I'm thinking about that baby. Does anybody think about the little baby? And I'm sure it's a pretty little baby because she's just as pretty as iced tea.
Yeah, it's a pretty little baby, but she has a supportive family. She lives with an aunt that I know. When I went and picked her up today, I saw the little baby for the first time, and Ricky was in school. Ricky he left class early to come and join us, but she was at the house.
Well,
so
she's blessed to just to have Mr. Ricky there. Mr. Ricky looks like a nice guy. He's the educated. He ain't no dumb nigga. He's a good boy. Thank God for him. You know, sometimes, I mean, I just hate that. That just hurts my heart to, to see that. And she had to go through that. And she's a young woman. She ain't 40. This is a 20. Is she 20,
She's 22. She's 22. I'm telling you, the little girl in a year has lost. She was on the 2-year sentence. They gave her 10 months. And you know how she said she had attitude and she had anger issues about the way she was raised and, having some problems. She said she never had not one fight in prison. You said you were in prison for, what, 10 months?
Yes,
She said every time a fight came, she said she learned to control her anger because she wanted to get out and see that little baby. I thought she was going to die when the judge sent her to jail. I've never seen, and I've been doing this for 20 years, I've seen people get life, death penalty, 40 years, 50. I have never seen a person react as devastated as she did when if I could have just taken that baby myself, I would have. But trust me, I couldn't. I can't handle the one I got. So, but I'm committed to her though. So that's why she's here tonight.
But God got it. He got it all in His hand.
Well,
and that's what we're going to have to put our trust in God. He told us to put our trust not in any man, but you got to put your trust in God. And I do believe that God, because I'm going to have some, when I get off the line with you, I'm calling some prayer warriors.
Oh, all right. We're going to get some prayer warriors for Stephanie.
Prayer will work, Miss Vivian.
It will. Well, you can contact me at my office and we'll talk about her. And if you have any suggestions or know anyone that's willing to work with an unskilled young woman who's willing to work, please give me a call.
Sure, but I want you to know, Miss Vivian, I appreciate you so much. I just love your show. I said, I ain't watching no Wendy Williams and nobody else. I'm watching Miss Vivian King show. Hello?
I don't know you, but I appreciate you. Thank you. That makes me feel good.
I love y'all up there. Okay, take care of that baby. Tell Stephanie, take care of that baby.
She's taking care of him. He looks good and healthy. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, sweetheart. All right. So, how was it being away from your little baby for 10 months, Steffi?
Hard.
Oh, but did he know you when you came home? He didn't know you?
No, ma'am.
Oh, how could you tell he didn't know you?
He ran to his daddy like I was trying to kill him or something.
Oh, my God. And what were you doing to him?
Nothing. I just said, hey, mama, baby.
Did you cry?
No, I didn't cry.
What?
No.
So what did he do, Ricky? Tell us what he did.
Ran from her, trying to fight her. He probably thought she was like a friend or something. He just was like swinging at her and running.
You didn't show him pictures of her while she was gone?
I didn't
You didn't
think
know to do that.
No,
Ricky, why you didn't tell? I didn't even think about telling you to do that. What you're supposed to do is have a picture of her in his room.
Well, I took him to see her like every month.
And the thing is, she was in Dayton?
Right, in Dayton. So
Okay.
I took him to see her every month up until when she got transferred to Crane Union or something.
Mm-hmm. And let me tell you this, audience, in the 10 months Steffi was there, she went to parole once and missed her first parole. She went to 6 different locations in prison. Because I was asking her, why didn't you go ahead and get that GED there? And she said, Miss King, they kept transferring me. So let's talk about all the locations. Harris County. From Harris County, you went where?
To Newton County.
Newton County. From there, you went?
To Dayton.
To Dayton. And then you went where?
To Huntsville.
Then you go to Huntsville.
And then they transferred me to a holdover in Gatesville.
Gatesville.
And then from Gatesville, I went to Lockhart, Texas.
Lockhart. So all of these are different cities in Texas, and you know Texas is big. Yeah. And so to get there, you got to get used to the facility, sign up for classes, and there's no continuity. Let's take another call. Caller, you're on.
Hi, this is Rita, Vivian. How are you, Attorney King?
Hey, Rita.
Hey, I was calling because I just wanted to commend you for a job well done. I'm watching. And also, I'd like to assist you with taking Stephanie on as a project and maybe giving her a makeover. I don't have very much, but I'm willing to take her to the salon where I go, and we get her all made up and make her dress for success. So when she, really doesn't have to settle for a McDonald's job. I'm not saying that that's degrading or anything, but like the gentleman said before, if you are persistent and you dress for success and you go to a privately owned company, you may get the job. I mean, we've all come up hard, but it was our decision to make that change and want to do better because we knew the situations we were up under while we were growing up. So I'm a victim of that. So, but I've never had a felony. I've never been in trouble. However, I did learn how to self-control and how to control my anger and how to act when I'm in a certain audience or what have you. So, but I'm willing to take you on, as Attorney King said, as a project and just kind of, dress you for success, get you all ready for an interview or what have you. And if there's any resources I have, I can put you in contact with. I have some friends that work with the Texas Workforce Commission, and I will gladly do whatever I can because I'd love to see our young African-American women coming behind me, making a change, because they feel we're angry, we're lazy, but that's not so, They just need to give us a chance, and I'm willing to, become friends with you and kind of get to know you and mentor you, because someone mentored me. And like the gentleman said before, if you fall on your face and pray and you ask God from your heart what you want, you can have whatever you want. It's nothing impossible. I'm a witness to that.
And we all thank you so much for your call, Rita. And I'm going to get in touch with you, and we will call me at the end of the week, and we will put our heads together on what we're going to do on Stephanie, because we're not going to let her fail.
No, we're not going to let her fail. We're going to dress her for success and put her out there, and she's going to succeed.
Thank you. Oh, sorry, I hung up too fast. Thank you for calling. We have to work on our anger issues. I was raised in an awful environment. I was angry too. So I understand, but I know you can control it because you controlled it when you were in TDC. So you controlled it because you had a goal then. You had a baby to live for.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't you think that's what helped you?
Yes, ma'am.
So what's going to help you now? If you get a job and somebody comes in there and it makes you mad, pisses you off about something, how are you going to react to that?
I don't want to get in no kind of trouble to go back, so think about,
Can you humble yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you say, yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, just like you just said? You said you weren't raised doing it, but you did it to me.
No, he said he wasn't. I said I was.
Oh, you are.
Don't.
You're not. Okay, you're not, Ricky. Okay. All right. All right. So, Ricky, you were very frustrated with the system last year when she went to jail. You endured being the caretaker for your baby. How are you doing now?
Still on top.
Still on top?
Yeah, still on. I'm still pushing. Like I just educated myself on dealing with the stock market. You ever heard of eTrade.com?
Of course.
So I just signed up with eTrade, and I'm reading Stocks for Dummies or whatever,
right,
to try to learn how to invest my money wisely and make it work for me. Because, like she said, I'm not going to settle for McDonald's. It's not degrading, but that's not what I'm going to settle for. I'm pushing to the top. Like, I don't see no other spot but the top. So,
and let me tell you the good thing about these two. Don't do drugs. So one of the things that was real frustrating, most young women, especially when they were brought up in a neglected environment, what do? They turn to dope and sex. Yeah. Stephanie doesn't do dope. She doesn't do marijuana. She had clean UAs the whole 2 years she was on probation before they violated her. Ricky doesn't do drugs. He's from New Orleans. You think, oh, he's a party. He gets down. He sounds like he's from New Orleans, but he's really a smart young man. Yeah. And so, I mean, to me, she was the perfect person for the judge to give a second chance. But he didn't do it. That was so frustrating. Never a dirty UA. And, caller, let me take this call. Caller, you're on. Thanks for calling.
Hi, Miss King. How are you?
Fine, and you?
This is Rochelle.
Hey, Rochelle.
And I am Stephanie's aunt.
Yes, ma'am. You have a comment for us?
Yes. First of all, Stephanie is a good person. Sometimes when you are going through hard times and in certain situations, you have to remove yourself from people that's not for you, and you have to find your own way. Now, I've been in the law enforcement business for over 23 years, and I know that the system is messed up. It's not, if you don't have any money, then it's a no-win situation. Everything is about money. And it's not about, people helping other people for being railroaded, as you know, in my situation.
Yes, ma'am.
Now,
turn the volume down.
He was saying, that you have to pray, and that is absolutely correct. You do have to pray and ask God, to give you that strength. Stephanie has went through a whole lot, and I'm very proud of her. She went through TEC. I wrote her every week, and she was telling me that, how she was doing good. I told her to keep her head up, and everything will be fine. Everything will work out fine. Now, as for her getting a job and everything, the last caller that you had, she was right on point. That's exactly what she needs. A little push. And once she get that push and once she be around positive people, everything is going to work out fine. But you have to want it bad enough that you go out there and get it.
I agree with you, Rochelle, and thank you for your call, sweetheart. And thank you for letting her parole to your house. You're a good aunt. This is your brother's child, and your brother is in prison. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Love you. Bye-bye. Okay. Okay, yes, sir.
Why people always speaking about hanging around positive? I hang around negative people, and I still push to be positive.
Well, everybody's not as strong as you, Ricky. I mean, we're not all the same strong.
You could be an individual, stick around a bunch of crack sticks. You still could walk straight. I mean, I don't get it.
Right. Now, I totally agree with you. Yeah. Some people are strong enough to walk through the fire. I mean, I can be around people doing wrong and make my own choice. Other people are not as strong, and because
So is that to say when they get around positive people, if the positive people just all of a sudden decide to crash, then she's going to crash with the positive people?
Hopefully not. But when you're weak and you're trying to get on your path, sometimes being around positive people can help you. But let's not focus on that too much. Let's focus on the fact that Stephanie's plans are to go to Lone Star. Now, the good thing is, like a lot of young people don't have cars, Ricky got a car for her, right?
So she had a car, sold it, so I owed her a car.
Oh, okay, so she had a car before she went to prison because she was a working girl, and he sold it,
so
probably paid me, and then I don't know what for. So he sold the car, and so he owed her a car, so he got up. So she got a little car. I'm not saying it's a great car, but she got a car to get her around to her job. So that's the good thing. I didn't trust it, so I wouldn't pick her up, and it was far away. But at least she does have transportation, so that's a good thing. So we know some contacts that you're going to make. So tell me how, in your words, you're going to keep your anger under control and your attitude. What are you going to do? If you're upset, will you call me? Now, you can't always get to me because I'm in court, but can you, and we're going to call Miss Rita, we're going to get, and you have Rochelle. I mean, your aunt is a very strong person. Now, she might cuss you out, but she is a strong person, and she can kind of keep you on the right path. Keep thinking about that baby and thinking about the broken people like me who've made it, the broken people like Miss Rita who've made it. We've had just as bad a life as you have, if not worse. You don't know what people have been through. You can do it. Isn't that right?
Yes, ma'am.
You can do it. You're going to do it. You've promised me you're going to do it. Yes, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
You're not going to have any more fights unless you just have to. Okay? I mean, if someone pulls you, you can sometimes just still try to walk away.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, what does it prove? Now, I don't think he should hit you in your jaw. Now, I would have been fighting him too. I have to admit that. But let's hope a situation like that doesn't happen again. We have one last call. Call, you're on, and please turn your volume down. Thank you.
Yes, Miss King?
Yes, sir.
Okay, my name is Ken Radley, and I was just wondering, on Stephanie's behalf, what is the statute of limitations on assault? And I felt like her confession was coerced.
It was. It was. What I'm telling you, but she had a bad lawyer that didn't advise her properly. Oh, no, that should have been thrown out. If I was her lawyer, we would have beat that case. No, that was a lawyer that just said, I don't know. What did they tell you, Stephanie?
To sign for county time or take probation because I have a background.
That's the just choice that she had. She didn't have any upbringing, so she signed for county time, 6 months in the county, which would have been assault on her record. They were reducing it to a misdemeanor, I guess. But the problem is she's 18 with a car and a job and her own apartment, so she couldn't do that.
I'm talking about when she was at the school district, because she went back on coercion for the lady that told her to send this.
Absolutely. But first she would have had to fight the case. Otherwise, it would have been that she's not a truthful person. So she would have had to plead not guilty and fight the case and file a complaint against the teacher at the school district. I agree.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she should have filed a complaint. She can't. It's too late to file a complaint now. So yeah, it would be too late now since that was in 2009. But I would have advised her as a lawyer. I've had my clients file complaints against police officers for police brutality. When a police officer hits you, they're going to always charge you with aggravated assault or assault. So it's a hard fight, but it's a fight you need to go through. But she was ill-advised, and that's the problem with kids taking probation on their first case just to get the case over with, because they're immature and they will certainly violate the probation, end up in prison. So it's best to fight it. And she understands that now, but no one was guiding her then. So now she's a felon, which is crazy. But anyway, what else do you want to ask us, sir?
Well, I was just wanted to know, for personal knowledge, what is the statute of limitations on the assault?
A statute of limitations on a misdemeanor assault is 2 years. On most felony assaults is 3 years, but the statute of limitation applies to when it's filed. So they have 3 years to file it. They have, of a felony, they have 2 years to file it if it's a misdemeanor, to file it from the date it happened. So the statute of limitations question would only come in this Haverstock case when they filed the case 2 years after she did the application. But they have 3 years on most felonies. Some have 5 years, some have 20, some are unlimited. But the general fallback provision for felonies is 3 years. So they have to file it before then. Once it's filed, it can go on forever. So it was filed in 2 years, so they made the statute of limitations, and the assault was filed that day. So it's only to when it's filed. Do you understand?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
So they can't go back on somebody you hit 4 years ago, because 3 years is a statute of limitations, and file it on you. Do you understand?
But is he asking you?
I'm going to get my warriors together with, along with the girls.
Thank you. We're about to wrap it up. We got 2 minutes, I'm seeing from my director.
Right.
Thank you for calling, and please watch us next Wednesday. We're going to talk about parole law next week.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right.
What do you want to say, Ricky?
No, I was wondering, was he asking, like, could she go and fight it? Like,
it's too late for her to go. It's too late. If someone hits you and you want to like sue them, the statute of limitations is 2 years for that, for personal injury. So if you're in a car wreck or somebody hits you, you could sue him, but 2 years is the statute of limitations, so it's too late because that happened in 2009. So in 2011, the statute ran. It looks like we have a phone call, but we're also wrapping up, so I'm confused, but we'll try to take the call. Caller, you're on.
Hi, I'd like to tell Stephanie about one program that is out. It is the Work Faith Connection, and what it is, it's a Work Faith Connection is a Christ-centered nonprofit organization that helps men and women begin productive lives through gifts of work. Our 8-day, they have an 8-day readiness workshop that equips the graduates with the ability to achieve economic self-sufficiency through job retention and career advancements.
I got to hang it up. Thank you so much, and I wrote it down, and I'll pass it on to Stephanie. Thank you so much for watching our tonight's episode of Truth and Justice with Vivian King. We wanted to explore the consequences of being on parole and finding a job. We wanted you to understand how difficult it is to get out of a system or to deal with a system, but how easy it is to get in it. So thank you for watching our show. I think Stephanie has gotten a lot of good advice tonight. Ricky has been a good friend of hers to stick with her, stick by her, and I appreciate you watching. My director is saying wrap it up now, so good night, and please join me next Wednesday night at 6:30. Thank you.